Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the 4 different ways we learned how to divide fractions. The first way is the tried and true method, which is using diagrams. So let's take a look at a word problem so we can make sense of the diagram also. Let's say if Mr. Train only has 3/4 ounces of chocolate, he needs 1/2 ounce for every cake he wants to bake. How many cakes can Mr. Train bake? Well, let's see. We have a number line down there already. Let's go ahead and label this. This is going to be 0. This would be 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4, and this is 1 whole. Well, we only have 3/4 ounces, so pretty much from here to here we have 3/4 ounces. Well, for 1 whole cake we need 1/2 of an ounce. 1/2 of an ounce. So from here to here, it's 1/2, right? 2/4 is 1/2. This is the first cake, and we only have another 1/4. If we went from here to here, that's what we have. We need to go all the way to the 1 for another one. So how much of another cake can we make? Well, if we look at the grouping, we can make 1/2, 1 out of 2, 1/2 of another cake. So 3/4 divided by 1/2 is going to be 1 and 1/2. Okay. The second method, I don't think we really covered this in too much detail, but it's using common denominators. So what our strategy here would be is to find common denominators. And if this confuses you because you're mixing it with addition, just go ahead and skip to the next one, number 3. But this is a pretty simple way if we understand the differences between division and addition. But we would find common denominators. So I know that the common denominator would be 10, so I'm going to change this to 8/10. This is now 8/10. And we're still dividing it by 3/10. So the idea is I multiply by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, now that the common denominators are equivalent, we just divide the numerators. So this would be equivalent to 8, which is the first numerator, 8 out of 3, which is the second one. And if we simplify this, we'll get 2 and 2/3. Okay, so that's using common denominators. So if we have common denominators, we just divide the numerators. Okay. Next one is using the supergiant ones, and to do that we need to set up the supergiant ones as a fraction. So the first one is going to be the numerator and the second one will be the denominator. So let's see, we're going to have 3/4, all of that divided by 2/5. Okay, and remember the goal of the supergiant one is to get a new fraction with the denominator of 1. Okay, so we need to figure out, okay, 2/5 times what equals 1? 2/5 times what equals 1? Well, if we think multiplicative inverses, 2/5 times 5/2, or the reciprocal of 2/5 is 5/2, is going to equal 1. So the numerator will also be 5/2. Okay, again, we have to have the same numerator as denominator. Don't make the mistake of finding the reciprocal of 3/4. Okay, this would be our supergiant ones. Okay, and finally 3 times 5 is going to be 15. 4 times 2 is 8. So this is just 15/8, which simplifies to 1 and 7/8. Okay, so that's a supergiant one method. Okay, we need to write it as a superfraction. We need to find a denominator of 1. And to do that, we find reciprocal of first denominator. And then we just multiply. Multiply and simplify. Okay. Now the fourth method is going to be to invert and multiply, and this is the shortcut. If you understand the other methods, feel free to use the shortcuts, but if we do ask you to use the supergiant ones or another method such as diagrams, make sure we also draw it out or use the supergiant ones. But if we look at number 3, essentially what we're doing is we have the initial fraction right here, and we're dividing it by the next fraction, by the reciprocal of the next fraction. Why is that not going away? By the reciprocal of the next fraction. The reciprocal, now it's deleted. The reciprocal of 2/5 which is 5/2. So essentially we're just multiplying the first factor times the reciprocal of the second factor. So let's go ahead and try that out. So the first factor is 3/4, so we're going to leave 3/4. Okay, 3/4, we're going to go ahead and leave it. The next one, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Sorry about my handwriting, it's hard to write in this tablet. So times the reciprocal of 2/5 is going to be 5/2. 15/8, which is 1 7/8, just like what we had earlier. And again, we see this, the 3/5 times 3/4 times 5/2 right over here. Okay. And so those are the 4 different methods of dividing fractions.